Recipe for a revolution. Preheat oven to 451 degrees. Take one big red heart.
Welcome, comrade. I have not forgotten you. I promise. That's why today I'm gonna cross a thing that have been in my bucket list for a while, which is to read communist or anti-capitalist poems that are not my own. So this time it will be something more proper, I guess. Hopefully. And yeah, but first I want to say that you're going to be alright. You're not going to lose your mind. You'll pull through. So yeah, what I had in my bucket list was a poem by Serge. And I also have a couple of things that Marx wrote when he was young, which I kind of enjoyed a lot. I read them when I was trying to write my essay, which was a bit about his life and some general things. And he had some pretty cheesy poems, and I don't know, I just thought that it was so charming. I feel like the impression you kind of get from him, if you don't really dive into it yourself, is that he's kind of, I don't know, some very, not really trivial, I don't think that's the right word, but I mean, the economic stuff is kind of heavy and not so attractive. So I think the more poetic, or more, I guess, more common side of him is a bit more appealing, perhaps. I mean, which it makes sense. A lot of famous thinkers and whatnot are usually pretty popular if they are more metaphysical or philosophic rather than strict. Sorry, I don't know how to explain, but I hope you understand. Anyways, so we'll see how many of his poems I can get through. First, I saw this something he wrote about like professions and stuff. So I want to start with it. Reflections of a young man on the choice of a profession. Written between August 10 and 16, 1835, by Karl Marx, of course. Nature herself has determined a sphere of activity in which the animal should move, and it peacefully moves within that sphere, without attempting to go beyond it, without even an inkling of any other. To man, too, the deity gave a general aim, that of ennobling mankind and himself. but he left it to man to seek the means by which this aim can be achieved. He left it to him to choose the position in society most suited to him, from which he can best uplift himself and society. This choice is a great privilege of man over the rest of creation, but at the same time it is an act which can destroy his whole life, frustrate all his plans, and make him unhappy. Serious consideration of this choice, therefore, is certainly the first duty of a young man who is beginning his career and does not want to leave these most important affairs to chance. Everyone has an aim in view, which to him at least seems great, and actually is so, if the deepest conviction, the innermost voice of the heart declares it so. For the deity never leaves mortal man wholly without a guide. He speaks softly, but with certainty. But his voice can easily be drowned, and what we took for inspiration can be the product of the moment, which another moment can perhaps also destroy. Our imagination, perhaps, is set on fire. Our emotions excited. Phantoms flit before our eyes, and we plunge headlong into what impetuous instinct suggests, which we imagine the deity himself has pointed out to us. But what we ardently embrace soon repels us, and we see our whole existence in ruins. We must therefore seriously examine whether we have really been inspired in our choice of a profession, whether an inner voice approves it, or whether this inspiration is a delusion. And what we took to be called from the deity was self-deception. But how can we recognize this except by tracing the source of the inspiration itself? What is great glitters? Its glitter arouses ambition, and ambition can easily have produced the inspiration, or what we took for inspiration. But reason can no longer restrain the man who is tempted by the demon of ambition, and he plunges headlong into what impetuous instinct suggests. He no longer chooses his position in life. Instead, it is determined by chance and illusion. Nor are we called upon to adopt a position which offers us the most brilliant opportunities. That is, not the one which, in the long series of years in which we may perhaps hold it, will never tire us, never dampen our zeal, never let our enthusiasm grow cold, but one in which we shall soon see our wishes unfulfilled, our ideas unsatisfied, and we shall inveigh against the deity and curse mankind. But it is not only ambition which can arouse sudden enthusiasm for a particular profession. We may perhaps have embellished it in our imagination, and embellished it so that it appears the highest that life can offer. We have not analyzed it, not considered the whole burden, the great responsibility it imposes on us. We have seen it only from distance, and distance is deceptive. Our own reason cannot be counselor here, for it is supported neither by experience nor by profound observation. Being deceived by emotion and blinded by fantasy. To whom then should we turn our eyes? Who should support us where our reason forsakes us? Our parents, who have already traveled life's road and experienced the severity of fate, our heart tells us. And if then our enthusiasm still persists, we still continue to love a profession and believe ourselves called it to do it after we have examined it in cold blood, after we have perceived its burdens and become acquainted with its difficulties, then we ought to adopt it. Then neither does our enthusiasm deceive us, nor does overhastiness carry us away. But we cannot always attain the position to which we believe we are called. Our relations in society have to some extent already begun to be established before we are in a position to determine them. Our physical constitution itself is often a threatening obstacle, and let no one scoff at its rights. It is true that we can rise above it, but then our downfall is all the more rapid. For then we are venturing to build on crumbling ruins. Then our whole life is an unhappy struggle between the mental and the bodily principle. But he who is unable to reconcile the warring elements within himself, how can he resist life's tempestuous stress? How can he act calmly? And it is from calm alone that great and fine deeds can arise. It is the only soil in which ripe fruits successfully develop. Although we cannot work for long and seldom happily with a physical constitution which is not suited to our profession, the thought nevertheless continually arises of sacrificing our well-being to duty, of acting vigorously although we are weak. But if we have chosen a profession for which we do not possess the talent, we can never exercise it worthily. We shall soon realize with shame our own incapacity and tell ourselves that we are useless created beings, members of society who are incapable of fulfilling their vocation. Then the most natural consequence is self-contempt. And what feeling is more painful and less capable of being made up for by all that the outside world has to offer? Self-contempt is a serpent that ever gnaws at one's breast, sucking the life-blood from one's heart and mixing it with the poison of misanthropy and despair. An illusion about our talents for profession which we have closely examined, is a fault which takes its revenge on us ourselves. And even if it does not meet with the censor of the outside world, it gives rise to more terrible pain in our hearts than such censor could inflict. If we have considered all this, and if the conditions of our life permit us to choose any profession we like, we may adopt the one that assures the greatest worth, one which is based on ideas of whose truth we're thoroughly convinced, which offer us the widest scope to work for mankind, and for ourselves to approach closer to the general aim, for which every profession is but a means. Perfection. But worth can be assured only by a profession in which we are not servile tools, but in which we act independently in our own sphere. It can be assured only by a profession that does not demand reprehensible acts, even if reprehensible only in an outward appearance, a profession which the best can follow with noble pride. A profession which assures this in the greatest degree is not always the highest, but is always the most preferred. But just as a profession which gives us no assurance of worth degrades us, we shall as surely succumb under the burdens of one which is based on ideas that we later recognize to be false. There we have no recourse but to self-deception. And what a desperate salvation is that which is obtained by self-betrayal. Those professions which are not so much involved in life itself as concerned with abstract truths are the most dangerous for the young man whose principles are not yet firm and whose convictions are not yet strong and unshakable. At the same time, these professions may seem to be the most exalted if they have taken deep root in our hearts, and if we are capable of sacrificing our lives and all endeavors for the ideas which prevail in them. They can bestow happiness on the man who has a vocation for them, but they destroy him who adopts them rashly, without reflection, yielding to the impulse of the moment. On the other hand, the high regard we have for the ideas on which our profession is based gives us a higher standing in society, enhances our own worth, and makes our actions unchallengeable. One who chooses a profession he values highly will shudder at the idea of being unworthy of it. He will act nobly if only because his position in society is a noble one. But the chief guide which must direct us in the choice of a profession is the welfare of mankind and our own perfection. It should not be thought that these two interests could be in conflict. The one would have to destroy the other. On the contrary, Man's nature is so constituted that he can attain his own perfection only by working for the perfection, for the good of his fellow man. If he works only for himself, he may perhaps become a famous man of learning, a great sage, an excellent poet, but he can never be a perfect, truly great man. History called those men the greatest who have ennobled themselves by working for the common good. Experience acclaims as happiest the man who has made the greatest number of people happy. Religion itself teaches us that the ideal being whom all strive to copy sacrificed himself for the sake of mankind, and who would dare to set at naught such judgments? If we have chosen the position in life in which we can most of all work for mankind, no burdens can bow us down, because they are sacrifices for the benefit of all. Then we shall experience no petty, limited, selfish joy, but our happiness will belong to millions. Our deeds will live on quietly, but perpetually at work, and over our ashes will be shed the hot tears of noble people. Feelings. Never can I do in peace that with which my soul's obsessed. Never take things at my ease. I must press on without rest. Others only know elation when things go their peaceful way, free with self-congratulation, giving thanks each time they pray. I am caught in endless strife, endless ferment, endless dream. I cannot conform to life, will not travel with the stream. Heaven I would comprehend, I would draw the world to me. Loving, hating, I intend that my stars shine brilliantly. All things I would strive to win. All the blessings gods impart, grasp all knowledge deep within, plumb the depths of song and art. Worlds I would destroy forever, since I can create no world. Since my call they notice never, coursing dumb in magic whirl. Dead and dumb they stare away at our deeds with scorn up yonder. We and all our works decay, heedless on their ways they wander. Yet their lot I would share never, swept on by the floating tide. On through nothing rushing ever, fretful in their pomp and pride. Swiftly fall and are destroyed, halls and bastions in their turn, as they fly into the void, yet another empire is born. So it rolls from year to year, from the nothing to the all, from the cradle to the bier, endless rise and endless fall. So the spirits go their way, till they're consumed outright, till their lords and masters they totally annihilate. Then let us traverse with daring that predestined God-drawn ring, joy and sorrow fully sharing, as the scales of fortune swing. Therefore let us risk our all, never resting, never tiring, not in silence dismal, dull, without action or desiring, not in brooding introspection, bowed beneath a yoke of pain, so that yearning, dream and action, unfulfilled to us remain. Written in October, December 1836 by Karl Marx. My world. Worlds my longing cannot ever still, nor yet gods with magic blessed. Higher than them all is my own will, stormily wakeful in my breast. Drank I all the stars' bright radiance, all the light by suns o'erspilled, still my pains would want for recompense, and my dreams be unfulfilled. Hence, to endless battle, to the striving like a talisman out there, demon-wise into the far mist driving, towards a goal I cannot near. But it's only ruins and dead stones that encompass all my yearning, where in shimmering heavenly radiance all my hopes flow, ever burning. They are nothing more than narrow rooms, ringed by timid people round, where it stands the frontier of my dreams, where my hopes reach journey's end. Jenny, can you ask what my words say, and what meaning hides within? Ah, they were useless to speak anyway, futile even to begin. Look into those eyes of yours so bright, deeper than the floor of heaven, clearer than the sun's own beaming light, and the answer shall be given. Dare to joy in life and being fair, only press your own white hand, you yourself shall find the answer there. Know my distant heaven land. Ah, when your lips only breathed to me, only one warm word to say, then I dived into mad ecstasy. Helpless I was swept away. Ha! In nerve and spirit I was stricken to the bottom of my soul, as a demon when the high magician strikes with lightning bolt and spell. Yet why should words try to force in vain, being sound and misty pall? What is infinite, like yearning's pain, like yourself and like the all? Written in October, December 1836 by Karl Marx. The Fiddler. The fiddler saws the strings, his light brown hair he tosses and flings. He carries a saber at his side, he wears a pleated habit wide. Fiddler, why that frantic sound? Why do you gaze so wildly around? Why leaps your blood like the surging sea? What drives your bow so desperately? Why do I fiddle, or the wild waves roar? What they might pound the rocky shore? That eye be blinded, that bosom swell, that soul's cry carried down to hell. Fiddler, with scorn you rend your heart, A radiant God lent you your art, to dazzle with waves of melody, to soar to the star dance in the sky. How so? I plunge without fail, my blood-backed saber into your soul. That art God neither wants nor wishes. It leaps to the brain from hell's black mists, till hearts bewitched, till sense reel, with Satan I have struck my deal. He chalks the signs, beats time for me. I play the death march fast and free. I must play dark, I must play light, till bowstrings break my heart outright. The fiddler saws the strings, his light brown hair he tosses and flings. He carries a saber at his side, he wears a pleated habit wide. Machine Gun, 1919, by Serge. At the gates of the homes, at the gates of the palaces that we have conquered, everywhere in the city, where the ride drags on cold, dull, and strong. Everywhere at the doors of our homes, the machine guns and the dark corners, dull to bring death, blind, low at the base of the earth, blind, cold of steel, of iron, with the metal of their hate, elemental, with their steel teeth ready to bite, their clockwork, wheels, nuts, springs, their short black mouths on the mounts squat. Oh, the tragic machine, the thing of steel, of iron, inert, which mutilates seconds at the fatal moment of battle, which digests seconds, tack, tack, tack. The seconds drop to the infinite, and lives tumble to the great cold of the tombs. The machine, which eats, tears, bursts, pierces, excavates the flesh, becomes twisted in blood and nerves, breaks the bones, makes the rails sing with the hollow of perforated chests, makes the brain ooze with the breaking of great faces, grey among blackened blood. Low machine to kill, everywhere in the town of dull riot, lurking at the doors of our homes, watching for what wants to be born, watching for what lifts from human hearts and from the depths of the live earth, for what rises from burning faith, from mad hope and from anger, from want and from light, from enthusiasm and from prayer. Which goes up to flower, acts, cries, flames their revolt, low to cut down flight, the machine gun in ambush, victory to the man of iron laws, victory to the metal on flesh, and in the dream, the law of death. And this machine, our hands and our brains built. Oh, Father, did we know what we made? Dearly beloved comrades, stay safe out there and keep your head high and be careful. But most of all, never forget that humans are still capable of doing great things. So, still no reason to be misanthropic. Okay? I believe in you. Mwah.
Until black. Thousands of paper-thin leaves flutter, frozen in time. Preserve
in the memory of the working class.
Press in hot metal and burn on our retinas. Toss together in the heat of debate. Sear onto our consciousness. Knead together with plenty of fresh resolve and a generous helping of comradeship. Transform in a single shattering second.
Rise up from the ashes.